Now that we've brought in all our components into one design, we need to figure out how we're going to lay everything out so that we can design our enclosure. The approach you take here may just be based on your preference. Some may choose to sit with a pencil and paper and just sketch things out as to where they're going to go. Others may just choose to use the move tool here and just move things around to test different positionings and layouts. Or you may choose to sit down with the actual parts and just place them on top of each other to see how you would want them to go. The approach I took was actually a combination of using Fusion 360 to move things around and just sitting down with all the components and arranging them by hand. When I got to this stage, I didn't even have the right battery, so what I did was I 3D printed this part and used it in place until my battery actually came in. And that allowed me to get the layout and the spacings just right, and so when my battery arrived, I could just swap it. I wanted to keep the enclosure design as compact as I could, so since the circuit playground was the biggest part, I figured I would most likely end up with having this on top and try to fit the other components underneath it. Here's the layout that I ended up with. As you can see, I have my circuit playground on top, the battery underneath it with the battery charger next to it, and the switch located on the side here. I'll go ahead and show the enclosure we're going to design. And if I expand it here, you can see that I have it arranged into a base and a cover. And I know it's pretty colorful, but that's because I really want to distinguish or have it easy to distinguish between the different parts. Let's take a look at the base first so we can see what's going on in here. And I'll remove the circuit playground so we can see underneath it. And as we can see, we've got our battery in the center and our battery charger here, which is resting on standoffs, and then we have our switch, which is located inside its own little housing here. And next we have these pillars, which are going to hold our circuit playground in place. And here we're going to take advantage of a neat fastening technique, which involves putting a hex nut in here and then coming in with a M3 bolt on top to secure it in place. So the way that'll work is that we'll have our circuit playground resting on top of those pillars, which will support it, and then we'll have our cover on top of that, and then we'll have an M3 nut go through the cover, and it'll actually thread right into the hex nut in here, which will hold everything in place. I use this technique a lot when fastening parts together. And you may have come across this technique if you've assembled kits before. Before designing any of these features, we're first going to have to arrange all our parts into their proper locations. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll switch back to our current design and we'll continue.